Hello, YouTube. Oh.
Hey everyone, I'm really cool and I had a awesome day at work today. And this is like the beginning, or not the beginning, this is more like the culmination of a number of things that have been happening at my workplace that I've found just kinda frustrating. And I feel like I'm gonna have to type a million things to a million different people to explain my situation. So I figured, it's easier if I just make a fucking YouTube video about it. As entertaining as Morrowind knife surfing can be. But, I guess you can't even call this knife surfing. Who cares? Either way. So, what I do for a living is I watch paint dry. You're gonna hear that and you're immediately gonna be like, that's a bit excessive. Surely no one watches paint dry for a living. But no. I do it for, what, like 18 bucks an hour? It's less than my last job, but since I live in the fucking armpit of wherever the hell, job opportunities aren't great. So I'm kinda in a bit of a predicament where there are no jobs around that I can really excel at, so to speak. So I find myself in this job where I watch paint dry. Now, you may ask, what do you actually do? Okay, so here's the thing. I work at a wood finishing company. I'm not gonna name names, but I work at a wood finishing company. So what my job usually entails is there's a feeder. The feeder puts essentially like siding, like trim, wooden finish, like planks of wood, to put it simply, on a conveyor belt. That conveyor belt runs into a denib machine that then leads into a paint or a primer machine. So we spray whatever we need to spray with primers. Some of the jobs don't need all that much coverage, so whatever. We set up the guns to do their thing, and they do their thing. These planks then go through an oven to dry this primer, so that it can then go through another denib machine, and then into a paint gun, booth. So then, the same process essentially, but for paint. So, when you were curious when I said, hey, I watch paint dry, I was not even a little bit kidding about that. So, that's kind of the basis of it. That's, the most basic rundown I can really give. I don't really know what else to say. I watch paint dry, which, on the surface, doesn't seem like that big of a deal. The only strenuous parts of the job are when, say there's a part that, tips over into the catch fence for one of the transfers, on and off certain conveyor belts. They'll get stuck and I'll have to, jump over the conveyor belt to grab one thing or another out of the catch fence so that, things can keep running smoothly. So on and so forth. That's, the only difficult part. It's a messy-ass job, but it is not a hard job. I'm by no means saying watching paint dry is a hard job. That is kind of funny when I say it out loud, but either way. The thing I take issue with, and the thing I've been taking issue with, is the way my managers conduct themselves. And this isn't, an infrequent thing. This isn't uncommon. It's pretty, it's the usual, the norm for people to be kind of frustrated with their boss. That's, it sucks, but it's unfortunately just a fact of life in the day-to-day in the 21st century we so adoringly live in. And they are not bad people, as far as I know. But I don't really care to look into it. They're just coworkers, man. I go there to get paid. That's the only reason I go to this job, is to earn a paycheck. There's no, like, oh, I'm passionate about fucking watching paint dry. That's not true. I'm not going to delude anyone into thinking I have passion for this sort of thing. Because I don't. How could you? The exclusive reason anyone works there is to make a paycheck. And the way you can tell is because the exact two kinds of people who work there are people my age, so in, like, their 20s-ish, earlier or later, doesn't really matter, that general age range, like, if you were born around the year 2000, like, that's the kind of people that are working at this job. It's either that, or people who are, like, old. Not, like, super old, but, like, roughly baby boomer age-ish? A little younger, but either way. Two kinds of people. No in between. There's maybe one person who's, like, middle-aged and works there. There's maybe one person who's, like, younger than me that works there. I don't know. It's... You kind of get what I'm going at. It's the exact kind of people who are there exclusively for money. So, to get back on track... Thank you, phone. My managers are interesting people. So the thing that kind of kicked this whole mood of mine off is we took everyone aside on the shop floor and pulled everyone aside for a meeting. Some thing or another needed to be addressed, and it was like, oh, fine, whatever, get everyone together. We're all sitting around and waiting for the meeting to begin, and the couple managers, like, come up to everyone, they're like, alright, so we haven't been putting out enough, like, product. We haven't been putting out enough footage per day, and footage is, like, what we measure how much we put out, since, you know, we deal in long planks of wood. That makes sense. Either way. We haven't been making, like, our quota, essentially. And that on its own is not damning. Sure, you can try to find ways to really, like, maximize your output. You know, you can make sure that there's not as big of gaps between jobs, like make sure someone's always setting up the next job for the feeder, and make sure the guns are all set up, so on and so forth. Like, you get what I'm saying. People can, you know, pitch in a little bit to help things go by a bit smoother. That's all well and good. But after this meeting about, like, hey, we're not meeting our quota, we're not, you know, doing it fast enough, whatever, what I take issue with is what I've now seen my managers consistently doing. And it drives me up the fucking wall. This has been a thing that I've had kind of an issue with my whole life, or at least my whole professional life, like my career-wise. I've just kind of not been great with the idea that the manager gets to sit back and relax and not do jack shit, while, you know, us grunts, we have to do all the fucking manual work. Obviously, that's part of the job description. Like, you're gonna be on your feet all day, you're gonna be working hard, lifting this and that, or just standing and watching sure things don't get caught up in the catch fence. Either way. What I don't like is what I see. And what I see is Manager 1, who's like my... I don't want to say department, we're not that big. But I'm gonna say department so that people understand. My department's, like, manager, like my floor manager, if we're talking like casino terms, he's like the closest thing to a manager I necessarily have. There's the guy a rung above him on the ladder, he's like the manager for our department, generally speaking. Or, not our department, like our side of the shop. There's two sides of the shop. One of them is more precision-oriented. I'm under the side that isn't more precision-oriented. And the manager for the not precision-oriented side, I see him standing around a lot and talking with this, like, department manager of mine. And I've had an experience at a previous job where someone got really butt-ass mad about the fact that people were talking when they should be working. And in this guy's defense, like, in the people he was yelling at's defense, this is talking about a previous job, take, like, a step back from the current situation. The people that he was yelling at were actually talking about, like, a job, or, like, how to set up the machines to work a specific way to get a certain task done. And that's all well and good. Like, if you're talking to your coworkers, but it's, like, about work, that's A-okay. I'm 100% fine with that. I have no issue. I just, like, I don't like this kind of double standard that I notice, you know? And it's kind of... I'm kind of becoming what I hate, because the person at this previous job I'm talking about, who yelled at people for talking to each other despite the topic of conversation being work-related, there's the construction. Hold on. Okay, so never mind, despite the noise, I'm just gonna continue anyway, because I figure I got the fire in me right now. I just don't care enough to wait until it's all done in like 5 hours. So, roughly where I left off was, I don't have issue if they're standing and talking and it's about something work-related, as long as it's, like, strictly professional, and they're not just yammering on to each other about fucking bullshit, whatever. Again, I'm not against the fact that people have lives outside of work. Like, I am genuinely a big proponent for work-life balance. I kind of fucking despise the fact that the work-life balance leans so heavily in favor of work these days. Working harder does not, in fact, a good work-life balance make. You can bust your ass all you want, but in the current climate of, like, the job market, just find a job that pays you well, like, pays you better, and you can at least tolerate doing. That doesn't do shit like this. It's just kind of a painful state of affairs, either way. But where, like, my issue stems from is the fact that I can look over so often and see them talking to each other. And I don't know why. It's probably just because I'm wired differently than 90% of the world. But it just drives me mad. It makes me crazy. I fucking hate seeing it, because in my heart of hearts, I know when they're standing there talking, no work is getting done. What's especially insulting about this is the fact that something will get caught in the catch fence, like I mentioned earlier, and I'll, you know, rush over to get it unstuck, and the parts keep coming down. You know, we don't stop the belt because, oh, we have to meet our quota, or bullshit like that. But we don't stop the belt just because something gets stuck. It's on us to get that thing unstuck while the belt is continually moving. And, like, it's frustrating to be in the middle of, like, unsticking something. That's the word. And you look over while unsticking this thing, and you see your two managers just having a gay old time, fucking yakking it up, fucking talking all the time. It's genuinely, like, endless. It's every day. It happens every single day. And it drives me fucking crazy. I don't know what to do about it. I almost feel like going to, like, my boss, like, not either of those managers, but, like, my boss, saying, like, hey, I notice these two are talking a lot. You know, it's not my business. I know I'm, you know, sticking my nose in where it's not welcome, but I really don't like the fact that I can look over so often and see them talking and laughing it up about whatever. I'm not saying this is, like, an attack on me or anything. I'm just saying, like, it does not look like they're productive, whereas everyone on the line, other than them, has to, like, you know, bust our asses. That's our job. I know their job is to manage and keep things going smoothly or whatever, and the times I don't see them, you know, no issue, but the fact that they do it in, like, so openly in front of everyone is kind of what gets my goat about this. It's what ticks me off. I really just kind of hate it. I think I've made myself clear where I stand on this sort of thing, but what I especially don't get is what happened today, and this is going to be a very champagne problem, as a friend of mine has, like, described it. First world issue for the rest of you who don't use that terminology. So, today was not a particularly, like, rough day necessarily. We've been doing this awesome thing where we keep running for so long that we don't have time to properly clean up. Like, we don't have time to scrape all the excess, like, primer and shit off of whatever. It's hard to get things, like, cleaned and in working order again at the end of the day. Because we run our product so late into the shift that we have a rough 20 minutes at the end to get everything packed up. And pretty generally, I would say, to get all the, like, booths flushed out with water, and to scrape all the, like, not absolutely everything, but most of the build-up from the paint and primer, all in all, takes about 40 minutes. So we have about half the time to do the same amount of work. And I don't know where my managers are during this. They're never anywhere to be seen. It's just me, the other operator, and the feeder all taking care of this shit. And if that's the way things are supposed to be, fine. Like, I don't like it, but fine. It's just kind of, again, this issue I have. They are standing there and talking. They're not helping. I might be trying to unstick something and parts are, like, continuing to come down the belt. They might be shifted the wrong way because I'm not there to tip them back in the right place. So they're gonna go down the belt the wrong way and be considered defects because I wasn't there to fix that. You know who could be there to fix that instead of fucking talking and having their fucking thumb up their ass all the time? My managers. You know what they don't do? Exactly that. And it pisses me off. It makes me fucking insane. I know I've been over this like 25,000 times by now, but it's aggravating. It's infuriating that someone who, I imagine, gets paid better than me is just, you know, you're allowed to just do less work. You're allowed to slack. You're allowed to do that shit and get paid more than me, or you're higher up in the company than me, and that's how you carry yourself in front of your employees. It's disappointing. It speaks to a lack of professionalism on their part, and I know that's a really weird thing to hear from me of all people, if you know me, but I have a complicated relationship with the workplace. I don't think you should kill yourself over, like, trying to get everything absolutely to your boss's liking. Like, the boss needs you, you don't need the boss, that sort of mindset. And especially in the current era of, like, how wages are looking for everyone, how promotions work, and generally how infrequently they come by, despite the mounting, oh hey, do more, do more, do more, and then people just stand around and do jack shit, looking at you, manager. It's kind of frustrating. It's a hard thing to really get used to and or accept. So I suppose I've trailed off a bit from what I was actually going to say earlier regarding what happened today. So, again, first world problems, it's realistically not a super big deal, but for me it is deafeningly loud at work because all these machines running is pretty loud in a, like, uninsulated concrete workshop. Like a shack, essentially. The way I coped with this in the past was to have earbuds in and, like, listen to music. Granted, I wouldn't have it very loud. I never thought it was much of an issue if I had to, like, pause what I was listening to just because I couldn't understand someone and be like, oh hey, could you repeat that? Like, that's super simple. And for how infrequently people, like, come up to me and chat or whatever at work, not even chat, like, if they have to say, like, oh hey, this next job is like, oh, we're only priming it, we're not painting, whatever. If that's what they have to say, it doesn't happen more than maybe 3 times a day. And each shift is like 8 hours, so again, you hear this and you don't think it's an issue, right? But I live in a fun part of my state where the business owners, small business owners, are... I'm gonna use the term, like, technophobic? Only in the sense that they're... Like, granted, at any job you're doing, you have to be, like, present. I get that. I'm 100% for that. But for... As I was saying, for the... like... what I have to do as a job, like I said earlier, watching paint dry, I don't think that's a very... like, audio-intensive job. Like, I don't think that's something you have to be super worried about not hearing something with. Like, if something gets caught in the denib machine and it, like, starts grinding, it's loud as fuck. I'll hear it through anything, dude. Like, I even had noise-canceling earbuds at one point. By the way, don't buy Bose Quiet Comforts. They work fine, but they suck crack, and they don't last very long when they're put through any sort of arduous, like, shaking. They're like unstable chemicals. You can't shake them, you can't, like, let them receive too many impacts, blah blah blah. Point being, they stink. Either way. So I usually have earbuds in at this job, and I don't have them on super high. I keep them to a considerate volume where I can just, like, usually hear anyone saying anything to me on the first go. And, you know, also to prevent hearing damage, or to prevent, like, getting too, like, lost in the sound or anything. I do try to, you know, keep my head on a swivel at work. So when my manager walks up to me today and is like, hey, there was a safety meeting last Friday. For context, I was not there that Friday. And after today, we don't want you to wear earbuds. And it wasn't just me. It wasn't like just a, hey, you don't get to wear earbuds specifically. It was a everyone in the shop rule. Like, everyone across the whole facility, no earbuds. So I go ask my coworkers about this, what they think about the whole thing. And they're like, you know, I don't like it. I'm not a big fan. But then I learned the reason for it. And so this whole paint drying watching job, you have to move these planks with forklifts. And understandably, on a forklift, you can't have earbuds in. I think that's a reasonable safety measure to not have earbuds in on a forklift, just for... We'll see how long this takes. Just for the sake of, like, hey, you know, you should be able to hear if, like, another operator honks their horn, or just, like, if someone, like, calls out to you, like, hey, this, so on and so forth. It's just generally a good idea not to be distracted by anything when you're operating heavy machinery like that. I've been forklift certified, so I know I'm not gonna be like, oh, I know the ins and outs of this machine. The machine spirits require the hymns of certification, whatever. I'm stupid. Point being, I have a general understanding of, like, safety measures to be taken, like, on and around forklifts. I can understand why having no earbuds in on forklifts is important. So, the reason this, like, facility-wide earbud ban is happening is because the forklift operators fucking bitched and moaned and, like, did this to, like, our boss, essentially. And our boss, in a stroke of genius, bless his stupid, dumb cunt mug for it, but he was like, oh, well then, no one gets to wear earbuds, like, just to capitulate to the forklift operators' demands? I don't know what to call them. They're fucking stupid and completely baseless. Like, okay, for forklift operators, I get it. For one reason or another, I get it. Even if it's just like, hey, you can't have both of them in at once, that's fine. I'm okay with that. but it's the fact that I have to go through an 8-hour shift every day now without any sort of background noise or, like, anything to kind of drown out my own thoughts, because most of you will probably agree, but being alone with your thoughts for extended periods of time isn't a fun road to walk down. So, it's just, like I said, champagne problems, but it pisses me the fuck off when I learn, like, that's why. It was the same way at my last job, not the previous job, but, like, my actual last job. The reason you couldn't wear earbuds was because, oh, it's a safety precaution. But when you work in, like, a quiet, like, facility assembling, like, regulators and shit, why is that a problem? It's assembly. Like, you don't really need to listen for anything. I can kinda get it in the exclusive sense of, oh, the, like, machine, or, no, not the machine, the threads of, like, a certain part might, like, scratch or whatever, and you need to hear that. You're not hearing that because the fucking radio's playing the whole time anyway. It's just baseless. It's technophobic. It's stupid. I don't get it. But anyway, it's just, I work with my hands a lot at this job. I don't work with my ears. You can't watch paint dry with your ears. You can't get things unstuck from the catch fence with your ears. You know what you do that with? Your hands. You know what you watch paint dry with? Your eyes. I don't know why it's a big fucking deal that, like, oh, you can't have earbuds in. I fucking hate phones. I beat my wife. Phone bad. Good old days. Shit like that. I don't know. It's the same shit you see everywhere. Like, it's not just a me problem, I know, but it's what I've been going through, and it's frustrating. I should have kind of seen the warning signs when they were like, hey, you guys need to do more, and then the managers just sit. They don't even sit. They just stand right out in front of us with their fucking thumbs up their asses talking to each other all day. It's not like they're talking about anything work relevant. There's no way that that's what they do all day, every day. But it's frustrating. It's just frustrating. I know I'm talking myself in circles here, but like I said, warning signs. Fun little side tangent, unrelated to the whole earbud thing. Around the Christmas season, something fun happened. Where, you know, it wasn't a big deal. And this is pretty generous of a small business to do, on first thought. But everyone got, like, a little Christmas bonus. It was like $200. It was super nice. I, you know, thanked everyone for it. That was really cool of them. Like, management, I mean. But what I found strange was the fact that someone from, like, the front office came back to the shop and was like, hey, you want to pitch in some money so we can buy the owner a gift? And in my head, I was like, fuck no. Do I look like I can afford that? You know, I'm covered in, like, primer dust and fucking paint on my clothes, all that shit. And what I actually said was like, yeah, you know, I'll think about it. I had to be the really fake kind of, like, oh yeah, sure, I'll do it, I'll be nice. But that should have been a red flag to me. I don't know why I didn't see that way until now, but, like, it is so just blatantly self-serving when you're like, oh hey, grunts, you need to do more. Not like, hey, managers, you need to actively participate in what the grunts are doing because things keep getting slowed down, nothing has changed, and you guys continue to talk, like, so frequently about bullshit. And I've walked by them multiple times. This isn't just me being insane, being like, oh yeah, they're definitely, like, slacking up. I have walked past them a number of times, and you know what they're talking about? Not fucking anything work-related. They've talked about, like, Black Ops 6 and, like, kill streaks, whatever. Shit like that. Really menial crap. And it's not work-related. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, you don't play Black Ops 6 at a fucking wood finishing shop. So, I don't know. Maybe my suspicions are completely unfounded, but I don't think it's anything productive they're talking about. And I hate to be the guy who's like, oh, mass production has to be #1 all the time, whatever. But it's just a double standard that I fucking despise of, hey, you little guys, we're gonna pay you the least, you have to do the most physical work, while pencil pushers get to do jack fucking shit all day and move numbers around so that it looks good for the boss, so they can get a nice fat bonus at the end of the quarter. It's just... I don't know, man. It should probably go without saying, but I think I'm gonna look for a new fucking job after that. That was just kind of the last straw. It's a really little thing to, like, find new employment over, but considering how leaving jobs for better pay is just a common practice in the workplace nowadays, it's... you gotta understand my perspective from that standpoint anyway. I used to get paid 20 bucks an hour at my old job, and I get paid 18 now after having gotten, like, 2-3 raises. I don't see another raise coming, so I don't see a reason to stay. Because at the end of the day, the only reason I'm working? Money. I really don't hate to say it. I will admit it to my boss's face if he's ever like, oh, don't you have any, like, passion for this, or whatever. No, I come here to pay my bills, to afford a relatively comfortable lifestyle, and that's it. You want me to, like, fucking bend over backwards for you? You can fucking stick it up your ass, dude. I don't give a shit. But, whatever. It'll be another one of life's funny little road bumps at the moment. And, I don't know. I'll figure something out. It's been real. All that, but I don't know. I think I've got it mostly out of my system. Thank you everyone for listening. I'm a big stupid idiot, and I definitely know what I'm talking about. But don't work for shitty people who do nothing to help you. Also, get paid better. You deserve it. Alright, that's it. That's all I had. See ya.